International pressure building for a ceasefire in Gaza, but that has done little to ease fighting in the Palestinian territory. The Israeli army says it has struck around 450 targets in the Gaza Strip over the last 24 hours. That is the largest number of daily attacks since the truce with Hamas collapsed last week. Well, the IDF struck from the air, the sea and land, claiming to destroy militants in precision strikes. Plumes of smoke are blanketing northern Gaza, now largely destroyed, with the war entering its the 3-month mark. The United Nations with a grim warning that no place in the enclave is safe, its aid operation also in, quote, tatters. That's after southern Gaza, once a haven for residents fleeing the north, became the latest center of fighting. Among regions hardest hit, the main city of Khan Yunis.
يعني مع انه انا بتابع الاخبار جيدا والصلوات جيدا والحمد لله وبحصن، لكن ما بلغونا يعني انه هذه المنطقه منطقه خطره ابدا. بلوك جي مش معي كل جيراننا، بل انا كنت اطمنهم اقول لهم ما دام منطقه مش خطره ضلنا قاعدين، لانه الواحد اذا طلع من بيته انهان، لكن الحمد لله.
Hospitals are struggling to cope. Gaza's health ministry has put the death toll at past 17,000. But there are hopes more aid could enter Gaza soon. Israel has agreed to open a second border crossing at the request of the United States, although the date for that has yet to be announced. It's the Kerem Shalom crossing, which was shut when the war started more than 2 months ago. For more, Sarah Coates joins us live from Tel Aviv. Sarah, are these intensifying strikes flying in the face of growing pressure worldwide for yet another ceasefire? What can you tell us?
Yeah, you're certainly right, Wei Su. Well, look, we have heard calls from the United States and other international players for more than a month now that this Kerem Shalom crossing, which is a tri-border crossing with Egypt, Gaza and also Israel, needs to be opened immediately to facilitate more aid into the Gaza Strip, as you said. And as we've heard from the United Nations, it is an absolutely catastrophic situation down in the Strip right now. But look, we did hear from Kogat that it would open this Kerem Shalom crossing, still no date given. And I just spoke to my contact at Kogat before. He couldn't confirm to me with this if this crossing would be opened in the future for trucks to actually cross it. What we do know is that it will be opened, as I said, no date given on that, for inspections only. So this is sort of not really going to alleviate that problem very much of the suffering in the Strip, given that it will only speed up the inspection part of these trucks. We do know that yesterday only 69 of these aid trucks, Wei Su, went through the Rafah border crossing, which is, of course, well short of the 250 trucks that Israel has been promising to facilitate on a daily basis. So, look, this humanitarian situation is becoming more dire by the hour. As I said, we're hearing the alarm bells ringing from the United Nations. And down in the south, there are more than 80% of the entire Gaza Strip internally displaced. And what we do need to remember is that these 69 trucks that went through yesterday is nowhere enough to serve the needs of these people. They don't have food, they don't have water, there's barely any medicine. And it is just an absolutely horrendous situation.
Sarah, another question that we return to again and again when we speak to you is concerns about the conflict spreading to other parts, involving other parties. Apart from Gaza, we've been hearing reports of an uptick in violence in the West Bank.
Yeah, exactly. And look, these raids have been happening on a daily, on a nightly basis, Wei Su. The Palestinian Health Ministry is reporting that at least 6 Palestinians have been killed in these raids overnight. The latest one happened in a village called Farah, and we do understand that a number of other people have been wounded. The Palestinian authorities also saying that since October 7, where, of course, these attacks happened down in southern Israel and these raids began in the West Bank, more than 200 Palestinians have been killed. Now, the IDF has responded to this raid, the most recent one overnight. It says that soldiers engaged in gun battles with armed Palestinians, saying that 5 suspects were arrested. They also confiscated weapons and ammunition. And look, it said also that its troops came under fire from these armed Palestinians and responded, killing a number. So, look, this is really worrying, and this is exactly what we've been hearing from the United States. It is warning Israel continually to rein in the West Bank, rein in also this settler violence, saying that if Israel doesn't do this, it could become the next front. And look, just an update on this settler violence, which has really been on the rise since these October 7 attacks. We just heard from the Defence Minister, Yoav Gallant. He has just signed an order to detain 2 settlers who've allegedly injured Palestinians in the last 2 months, and they will be held now in administrative detention, which means they still haven't been charged. And we do understand that they will be in jail now for at least 4 months. So this is certainly very, very concerning, given the amount of deaths in the West Bank and given just the frequency of these raids.
Thanks for that. Sarah Courts reporting live from Tel Aviv. The UN Security Council will meet to discuss Gaza this evening under acute pressure from the Secretary-General. Antonio Guterres wrote a letter to the Council on Wednesday, taking the extraordinary step of invoking Article 99. Well, that's something no one in his job has done for decades. Mr. Guterres has been calling for a humanitarian ceasefire since the middle of October. But the Security Council has yet to act amid differences between permanent members, the US, that's Israel's chief backer, and Russia. So what is Article 99? It allows the UN chief to call a meeting of the Security Council on his own to draw attention to any matter that might threaten international peace and security. If members are in agreement, the Council will then be empowered to impose sanctions and deploy an international force to ensure implementation of this resolution. The latest draft resolution calls for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The US offered amendments, including condemnation of, quote, the terrorist attacks by Hamas in Israel. Well, this was not added to the text. The amended draft instead calls for the protection of both the Palestinian and Israeli civilian populations and the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages. To be adopted, the resolution needs at least 9 out of 15 votes in favour and no vetoes by the 5 permanent members. That's, of course, the United States, China, Britain, France and Russia. Previously, Washington had vetoed all but one resolution that it had not initiated on this conflict, while Russia and China voted against any American-led draft. The US said it does not support any further action by the Council at this time, opposing, together with close partner Israel, a ceasefire, because they believe a truce would only benefit Hamas. Washington instead supports pauses to protect civilians and to allow for the release of hostages, and says it is putting more pressure on Tel Aviv to protect civilians in Gaza.
It is imperative, it remains imperative, that Israel put a premium on civilian protection. And there does remain a gap between exactly what I said when I was there, the intent to protect civilians, and the actual results that we're seeing on the ground.